In the dead of night, while America slept, a bombshell revelation shook the foundations of Washington, D.C. A courageous whistleblower had stepped forward, testifying before Congress about one of the most alarming breaches of federal access in modern political history. The Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, led by billionaire E.M., had allegedly accessed, copied, and potentially exfiltrated highly sensitive labor data from inside the federal government. Picture this. It's early March 2025. A black SUV with police escort pulls into the garage of the National Labor Relations Board headquarters in southeast Washington. The DOGE team, effectively commanded by White House advisor and the world's richest man, E.M., arrives with an unprecedented agenda. They weren't targeting military databases or intelligence agencies. Their sights were set on the small, independent federal agency that protects the rights of America's workers. I can't attest to what their end goal was or what they're doing with the data. Whistleblower Daniel Baroulas told NPR in a bombshell interview, but I can tell you that the bits of the puzzle that I can quantify are scary. This is a very bad picture we're looking at. Baroulas, a DevSecOps architect at the NLRB who manages the agency's cloud infrastructure, watched in horror as the DOGE engineers demanded what insiders call God tier access to the agency's systems. What happened next reads like a cyber thriller novel, except it was unfolding in real time within the heart of the federal government. Security monitoring tools were mysteriously disabled, audit logs vanished, records were deleted. An unprecedented 10 gigabytes of sensitive data, equivalent to printing out an entire encyclopedia set, was siphoned from the agency's systems through techniques typically associated with sophisticated hackers, all while EM had promised that DOGE would be uniquely transparent with its operations. None of that information should ever leave the agency, Richard Griffin, former NLRB General Counsel from 2013 to 2017, told investigators. Then came perhaps the most chilling revelation. Within minutes after DOGE accessed the NLRB's systems, login attempts from a Russian IP address began appearing, and these weren't random attacks. The Russian IP had the correct username and password for a DOGE-created account. If he didn't know the backstory, any chief information security officer worth his salt would look at network activity like this and assume it's a nation-state attack from China or Russia, said Jake Braun, former acting principal deputy national cyber director at the White House. What makes this breach particularly alarming is the nature of the data potentially compromised. The NLRB isn't just any agency. It's the guardian of America's labor rights, investigating and adjudicating complaints about unfair labor practices. Its databases contain highly sensitive information, confidential lists of employees interested in forming unions, witness statements from labor disputes, proprietary business information, and even corporate secrets. This shocks the conscience, Richard Griffin told reporters. And if DOGE operatives captured and removed case files, it could constitute a violation of the Privacy Act. The world's richest man now potentially had access to information about workers trying to organize at companies across America, including his own. EM's companies SpaceX and Tesla are currently involved in multiple NLRB cases, creating a jaw-dropping conflict of interest. It's not that he's a random person who's getting information that a random person shouldn't have access to, explained Sharon Block, former NLRB board member and executive director of Harvard Law School's Center for Labor and a Just Economy. But if they really did get everything, then he has information about the cases the government is building against him. This data theft represents an existential threat to labor rights in America. With access to such information, companies could potentially identify and fire union organizers, an illegal but difficult-to-prove practice that labor experts say happens frequently. Corporate executives could gain insights into witness testimonies and legal strategies being used against them. The chilling effect on workers' willingness to come forward would be devastating. Just saying that they have access to the data is intimidating, explained Kate Bronfenbrenner, Director of Labor Education Research at Cornell University. People are going to go. I'm not going to testify before the board because my employer might get access. While EM publicly claimed he would recuse himself from anything involving his companies, multiple labor law experts interviewed expressed deep skepticism. There appears to be no firewall preventing misuse of the data, and the pattern of secretive access and data exfiltration directly contradicts claims of transparency. The DOGE team's activities weren't limited to the NLRB. According to multiple sources across government agencies, similar patterns of high-level access, security tool disabling, and data exfiltration have been observed at the Treasury Department, IRS, and other agencies. In one case involving Treasury Department payment systems that controlled trillions in federal spending U.S., District Judge Jeanette Vargas blocked DOGE access, finding a real possibility exists that sensitive information has already been shared outside of the Treasury Department in potential violation of federal law. For Baroulis, speaking out came at a personal cost. While preparing his whistleblower disclosure, he discovered a threatening note taped to his door, containing sensitive personal information and overhead photos of him walking his dog that appeared to be taken with a drone. Despite this intimidation, he felt compelled to come forward. It was my goal by disclosing to Congress not to focus on me at all, but to give them information that they might not necessarily have. The things that you don't necessarily look for unless you know where to look, Baroulis explained. The richest man in the world, who has publicly declared the Democratic Party hates you, now appears to be systematically dismantling the very institutions designed to protect American workers. His team targets agencies that safeguard employee rights, labor organizing, and collective bargaining, all while claiming to be cutting government waste. But as cybersecurity expert Russ Handorf, who served a decade in FBI cybersecurity roles, put it, all of this is alarming. If this was a publicly traded company, I would have to report this breach to the Securities and Exchange Commission. The consequences extend beyond labor rights to national security, as one threat intelligence researcher with experience hunting state-sponsored hackers told NPR. We've seen Russian threat actors do things like this on U.S. government systems. The difference is they were given the keys to the front door. EM claimed DOGE would save trillions in government waste. First, they promised $2 trillion in cuts, then $1 trillion, then celebrated $150 billion, a number many experts dispute. Meanwhile, the department operates with virtually no oversight, selectively releasing information while concealing actions that should alarm every American worker. Every citizen must understand what's happening and demand accountability. The integrity of our labor institutions, the privacy of our workers, and the security of our government systems hang in the balance. Share this message, because democracy thrives only when power is checked and the truth prevails.